Hi, my name's Paul Kearns and I'm the chair of the Maturity Institute. I just want to give you a quick introduction to our orientation. I've been running these orientation programs with my colleague Stuart Woolard for a couple of years now, and a slide that Stuart used when he first started to do the program is this one, which features Ed Catmull, the genius behind Pixar. And whilst we're interested at the Maturity Institute in measuring, reporting and rating on how well organisations manage their people or their human capital, Ed Catmull gives you a very different perspective on this. He says art is about learning to see and to observe, and the sciences are about seeing and observing. Really, that sums up what the Maturity Institute is all about. There is an art in seeing behind the front that a lot of corporations present to us these days. And if we want to analyse and investigate what's going on in that organisation, we need to be quite scientific about it by capturing evidence. Now, it's interesting, when I first saw this slide and Stuart explained it, it didn't hit me immediately exactly what this slide says. And like a lot of things, when you start to understand what the slide says, it strikes you as actually very obvious and very simple, but sometimes it takes some time to see the obvious and the simple. And that very much sums up what maturity is all about. Here's a picture of a group of companies, and if you started to look at any one of these companies, what conclusions would you come to about how it manages its human capital and the extent to which it has high risk in terms of its management of human capital? If you come on the orientation, we'll explain the difference between these companies. We'll show you the pluses and the minuses in terms of how they manage their people. One thing that's on everybody's lips these days is organisational culture. And there are those who can tell us they can measure culture. Well, we believe we can analyse and assess culture in organisations, but it's a very, very complex and sophisticated analysis that's required. Here are several stories from recent press and online material that tells us what organisations are trying to do in terms of culture, but the problems they're having because of a poor culture in the past. We have on the top right here VW seriously having to look at its culture. It says VW management culture faces scrutiny, obviously because of the emissions scandal. You know, what culture led to that emissions scandal being started in the first place, and how was it covered up for so many years? Why did they think they could get away with it? Below we have Rolls-Royce, which is actually known for its technological brilliance, as it says here. But was it always known for managerial mediocrity? Actually, it's pretty obvious when you start to analyse Rolls-Royce that its technical brilliance was everything, and its capability in terms of managing its people came secondary to that. We believe Rolls-Royce could be a great company again, but unless it sorts its culture out, that's not going to happen anytime soon. On the top left here, we have the interest coming in now from the investment management community and a research note produced by Hermes Investment Management that came to the conclusion that Barclays was changing its culture. Well, we've written a research note on Barclays and we've come to exactly the opposite conclusion. Barclays shows no signs for us of changing its culture. At the end of the day, what the orientation tries to do is give companies a view of where they are in relation to every other company in terms of their human capital management and their human governance. And we produce a league table, although we don't like the term league table, because each of the ratings on this table is pertinent to that particular company at a particular point in time. And if two companies have a triple B plus, like Reckitt Benckiser and Arm Holdings on here, it doesn't mean they're exactly the same in the same place. It doesn't mean they're doing exactly the same things. You know, this subject of analysing human capital management and human governance is a very complex analysis. And by coming on the orientation, you'll start to see and observe what we see and observe in these organisations. So, we would welcome you to come on the orientation. There are two ways of doing it. You can either come on a full 2-day program, or you can come on one of our online orientations, which is spread over 6 sessions. If you want any further details, you can get them below and contact us, and we're happy to answer any questions. Thank you for listening.